The less you sleep, the more money you'll lose. So if you actually want to win at trading, you have to optimize your sleep. And I'm going to show you how. But first, I'll tell you how sleep impacts traders' willpower, decision-making, judgment, and emotional control. Hi, I'm Lance Breitstein, one of Wall Street's top traders with over $100 million in verified profits. Sleep was one of the strongest correlated variables to my P&L, and nothing else came anywhere close. I couldn't believe how much sleep affected my trading. And don't kid yourself, if you think going into work tired or hungover is not going to affect you, you are flat out wrong. Let's take a professional athlete as an example. When they aren't locked in going into game day because they were out the night before, well, it would just be unacceptable and unfathomable to even think about. Except the difference is, a lot of athletes have a team to carry them, and the maximum loss is often just an L. For you, your livelihood relies on your performance day in and day out. You need to perform. If you don't show up well rested with your head in the game, you will never come anywhere close to your true potential. When you're underslept, your decisions are just a little slower, your willpower a little bit less, your focus slightly off. And in the right moment, the consequences can be dire. Not only that, but your ability to learn and progress as a trader is impaired when you aren't getting proper sleep. I know what you're thinking. I don't prioritize my sleep and I don't get 8 hours, but I feel fine. If that is you, then trust me and hear me out on this. I've probably worked with over a dozen traders who said exactly that, but it was simply they hadn't realized that being sleep deprived had become their new normal. Once we worked on their sleep, their trading results and subjective well-being improved, and they never looked back. Swang, one of S&P Capital's top traders, was exactly one of those people. How did I get put onto this topic, and when did I realize it was so important to prioritize? I was starting to recognize the patterns in my own trading regarding how important sleep was, and this happened to coincide with what I consider the Bible on sleep being released, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. This book blew my mind on the significance of sleep, and it was a huge wake-up call that it was time for me to make significant changes to my lifestyle. Living in a big city when you're young makes it easy to get carried away. Constant dinners, parties, drinks with friends. There's always something to be doing no matter what day of the week it is. Coincidentally, this was also the time when some of the sleep wearables like Oura Ring were starting to pave the way for sleep improvement and sleep tracking. I immediately purchased one after reading a bit more about its functionality. Knowing how important sleep was to my trading, my sleep score from the Oura Ring became an integral input into my daily report card morning temperature. I know many of you are already familiar with it, but for those of you who aren't, without diving into it too much, I would give myself a grade, A through F, each morning on what I called a temperature check. This was largely based on my sleep score, and it set the tone for the day. I have a separate video diving deeper into the daily report card that you can access here. Going back to the temperature check, if I slept poorly the prior night, like really bad, I simply wouldn't trade that day and I would do productive work instead. If I was really well slept, I might consider increasing my risk and sizing up if it was an active day. Why shouldn't sleep be a factor in your daily risk? And if you're not doing that, why not? The difference in my decision making, my emotional control, and my performance was unbelievable when I was very well rested versus otherwise. For years, I was working on improving my sleep, but still having major sleep issues. I started working with a bespoke team of sleep experts to do an in-person study on me, and they confirmed I was getting almost no deep sleep. Not only that, but the 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep I was getting wasn't acceptable. I needed 8 hours. During this process, what I discovered is that from checking the markets before bed, I would worry about various things that might happen in regards to overnight positions, like breaking news I couldn't react to. I had built a response to check the markets the moment I woke up. Doing this created a habit response where my mind would immediately be stimulated upon waking. After a decade plus of doing that, it was severely impacting the depth of my sleep, the length of my sleep, and overall quality of sleep I was getting. Even though I thought I was doing so well before this, it was a huge wake-up call. Once I was awake, if I got that mental stimulation by checking the markets, I could never go back to sleep. I'd always wake up at 6 or 6:30 a.m. regardless of what time I went to bed. To add, I've never been a napper, so that was becoming a big problem. So what did I do? I implemented some new best practices, and my sleep score has been up 15% and counting since then. I've been able to slowly override and reverse those bad habits over time. To save you the time and money, I'll share these best practices. Here's what I consider the non-negotiables of sleep if they're within your control. Number 1, every single night you want a cold, dark, and and quiet room. Make it as similar to sleeping in a deep cave as possible, probably sub 68 degrees, and to reiterate, very dark. What they say is you don't want to be able to clearly see your hand in front of your face. Whether home or traveling, I always use a sleep mask, and once accustomed to it, it's a game changer. Number 2, quiet. You don't want any noise waking you. If you live in a noisy cityscape environment, many people recommend a white noise machine because that tends to block that out from your brain. Then comes number 3, 0 alcohol. I know, a lot of people love a glass of wine with dinner or maybe a beer after work, but truly 0 alcohol is the optimal amount for sleep. If you do happen to drink, the earlier before bed, the better. But keep in mind, every drink is incredibly damaging across all your sleep metrics. I tend to see a 10% hit just from 1 or 2 drinks around dinner time. Number 4, no caffeine after 1 p.m. Sorry, coffee lovers. Even if you're able to fall asleep, caffeine late in the day impairs the quality and depth of sleep. Number 5, a daily exercise practice is so important, as is morning sunlight as soon as you wake up, or going on a walk or doing some stretching. Dr. Andrew Huberman has touched on the topic of morning sunlight if you're interested in reading up more on that. Number 6, one of the other big non-negotiables, no cell phone, computer, or stressful items in the bedroom. That was one of the biggest changes for me. You are trying to take anything stimulating out of the bedroom and make the bedroom for sleeping only, and maybe some sex. That's fine too, mostly because we're traders, not monks. Number 7, no overhydrating in the evening. Always go to the bathroom before bed. You shouldn't be waking up in the middle of the night. It's crucial to give yourself the best shot at a proper sleep window, which for most people is going to be 8 to 8.5 hours. Number 8, and this one ties back closely to number 6, avoid bright lights and no stimulating activities in the hours preceding bedtime. You don't want to be doing stressful emails. You don't want to be checking the market. To this day, having a really locked in wake up and bedtime routine with proper down regulation and no phone or markets is so huge for me. Yes, it's difficult, but the improvement is enormous. Number 9 is that you really want to force yourself to have an 8.5 to 9 hour sleep window where you are in bed during this time with 0 stimulation. Most people don't even give themselves a chance to get 8 hours of sleep. I know what many of you are thinking while I discuss this topic, and the answer is no. You're not one of those rare people that can function on 5 or 6 hours of sleep. I promise you, there is a 0% chance. So what are the best practices you want to do most of the time? Going to bed and waking up at the exact time, even on weekends. I know that's not practical for many people, but again, the ideal is to do it the best you can manage. A lot of data has been shown that having a consistent sleep schedule is potentially as important as sleep length. You also want to avoid heavier, spicy meals too close to bed. Again, the further away from bedtime and the lighter the dinner, the better your sleep scores tend to be on average. What are the best practices if you want to be a superstar and go to the extreme? A sauna a few hours before bed increases your body temp to higher levels, which then cause your core body temp to drop. That eases you into sleep faster and deeper. It's the same reason why we want a cool room when you're going to sleep. An interesting tidbit from my sleep team that most people tend to fall victim to. If you have an awful night of sleep, avoid caffeine and alcohol like the plague the next day. It's so easy to fall into a stimulant cycle where you get a poor night's sleep, use caffeine too much the next day, and that repeats the cycle when you can't fall asleep at night. Another big tip by Andrew Huberman is non-sleep deep rest. Essentially, you enter a meditative state to refresh and restore your energy levels if you did not get a good night's sleep the night before. If you're lying in bed awake and can't fall asleep, take a reset, read a book in dim light outside the bedroom. Don't let yourself associate the bed with wakefulness and anxiety and stress over sleep. Overall, pay attention to your sleeping patterns and make sure to be mindful of your habits. If you suspect something is off, get tested for sleep apnea. After all of these tips and conclusions my sleep team came to, I want to reiterate this again because it's so important. No, you do not have the gene where you don't need 8 hours of sleep. No, you cannot function on little sleep. Nobody can. If you're like me, it really does take a lot of effort and sacrifice to get good sleep. Everybody has various commitments, social life, travel, personal issues, not to mention kids. We all deal with our own stuff, but ultimately, what I like to say is just aim for 80% compliance. Do the best you can throughout the week and make sure the other 20% of the time where you're not is just really worth it to you. On weekends, primarily Primarily on Friday and Saturday, I try to have a little fun. But Sunday to Thursday, I try my best to be locked in and mindful of what I'm doing. Many of my current practices came from just gradually getting better over time. Something as simple as a few less drinks on a Friday or eliminating alcohol during the week can make all the difference in your routine. The trade-off is real. I can't tell you how large a difference it has made in all aspects of my life, and same for the people I've mentored. If pro traders are taking sleep so seriously, why aren't you? Trust me on this. Sleep is the low-hanging fruit in your trading game.